What would you do if you were put in a situation where a greeting that you had used your whole life to meet others ended up saving you, ended up actually being the one thing to differentiate between who was friendly and who might not even be human? In today's story, we will read about this. Hello, I'm Cece, and this is the Crucible of Character, where I read scary Reddit stories and discuss what I think about them and what I would do differently and what we can learn from them. Today's story was published on the r/scary stories subreddit by Kinda Sucky Sucky, and it's entitled Tao Po. Starts like this. I was 11 when this happened. To this day, my parents don't know. I still don't know how to tell them without sounding crazy. We lived in a small barangay in the Philippines, the kind of place where rice fields stretch forever and coconut trees lean towards the sky like crooked fingers. Our house sat at the very edge of the road, just before it turned into a dirt path leading to the river. Beyond that, nothing but fields and trees and silence. People here had rules. Don't whistle at night, don't point at old trees, and never, ever open the door after dark. Kids were told that all the time. If we asked why, the adults would just shake their heads and say a saying in Tagalog. There are things you won't understand. I thought it was just old folks being superstitious. Kwentang matatanda, we called it. Old people stories. That night, the power went out. I remember the heat first. It was the kind of heavy, sticky heat that clung to your skin and made the air feel like a blanket. The kind of heat that turned darkness into something alive. No lights, no fan, no TV, just the sound of crickets and distant dogs barking at nothing. My parents told me they were going to the barangay hall. They didn't say why, but I figured it had to do with the blackout. Stay with your sister, my mom said before they left. I nodded. It was just me and Nika, my little sister, who was 8 at the time. She was already asleep on the bed in our shared room. I sat in the living room, a single candle flickering on the low table. Shadows stretched across the walls like they were alive, twitching every time the flame wavered. I stirred my hot chocolate drink slowly, watching the powder swirl in the cup, trying not to think about how quiet it was. That's when I heard the knocking. 3 knocks, slow, heavy, like someone dragging their hand against the wood before letting it fall. I froze, my spoon clinking against the cup. Then silence. I waited, listened. Maybe it was a neighbor. People in our barangay always borrowed things: salt, matches, candles. I got up, my legs trembling for no reason I could explain. The door was closed. Of course it was. I tiptoed to the window instead and pulled the curtain just enough to peek outside. At first I saw nothing, just the dark silhouettes of coconut trees swaying gently against the night sky. Then I saw her. A woman stood right outside our door. Her hair was long, so long it almost touched her waist, and it hung over her face in thick, damp strands. She wore a white dress that looked loose on her body, fluttering slightly, even though the air was dead still. Her head was bowed. I couldn't see her eyes. Buksan mo ang pinto, anak. Open the door, child. Her voice was so soft, calm. I gripped the curtain tighter. Who are you? I asked. My throat was dry. I'm your Aunt Lisa, she said without lifting her head. Your mama sent me. There's been an accident. Aunt Lisa? The name didn't sound familiar at all. I don't know any Aunt Lisa, I whispered. The woman tilted her head slowly, and that's when I saw her mouth. Her lips stretched into a smile that went too far, pulling unnaturally towards her cheeks. Of course you do, she said. I'm family. Something in my gut screamed at me to move away, to run, but my legs felt glued to the floor. Her voice sounded wrong. It sounded like it was trying too hard to sound right, like someone reading lines from a script. Then she said it. Open the door, Leo. My heart stopped. I never told her my name. My chest felt tight, like my lungs were collapsing. That's when she shifted her head. The candlelight from inside the house caught her face for just a second, and I saw her eyes. They weren't human. They were black and shiny, like pools of oil. Her smile didn't fade, it widened. The knocking started again, louder this time. The door rattled in its frame. Open the door, Leo. Your mama is dying. I ran. I didn't think. I just ran to the bedroom, grabbed Nika by the arm, and pulled her from the bed. She mumbled in her sleep, confused, but I didn't stop. We crawled under the bed together. I wrapped my arms around her and clamped a hand over her mouth. The knocking stopped. For a second I thought it was over. Then came the sound of nails, long, slow, deliberate scratches across the wood. My skin crawled. Leo, she whispered. But her voice wasn't at the door anymore. It was at the window. Then the other window on the bedroom, and above us, scraping sounds moved across the tin roof, slow and steady, like something was crawling up there. I held Nika so tight I could feel her heartbeat hammering against my chest. The smell of rust from the bed frame mixed with the candle smoke and sweat, making me dizzy. Leo. The voice stretched the syllable like it enjoyed the taste of my name, then softer. Nika. My stomach dropped. I don't know how long we stayed like that. My arms went numb. My chest burned from holding my breath. Minutes felt like hours. Then silence. No voice, no scratching, no knocking, just the distant hum of crickets. I waited longer, listening until my ears ached from the effort. Finally, I crawled out, my legs shaking so bad I thought I'd collapse. I checked the windows. Nothing. The floor was still closed. When my parents came home, I didn't say a word. The next morning I asked my mom casually, "Do we have a Aunt Lisa?" She frowned. "No." "Why?" I shook my head. "Nothing." But later, when I went to close the window shutters, I saw something on the wall outside. It looked like muddy prints, handprints, but wrong. The fingers were too long, and they didn't stop at the bottom. They went up all the way to the roof. In the Philippines, when someone knocks on your door, they usually call out, "Tao po." It's like saying, "Is anyone home?" But it literally translates to, "I am human." My Lola told me it started as a way to warn the household that you weren't something else, something pretending to be human. The thing outside our house never said it. The end. That was a good little short story. It was nice. It kind of definitely created some intrigue. I'm not super familiar with Filipino culture or kind of maybe some of the superstitions that they have, but it is so cool to think that they kind of have that built-in way of saying, "Hey, I'm human. Don't worry." Kind of scary to think why they might have needed that. It's almost like if you've ever heard of the uncanny valley. It's a concept of kind of like how we as people can see so many different types of faces and different set eyes and noses and mouths, and it all just kind of clicks in our brain. You see a person and you know it's a person. You just know it. But when you see an AI person, it's almost easy to say, "Yep, that's not right. There's something about it, it's not right." Or when you see a mannequin and you just kind of feel unsettled when you get a little bit too close. This uncanny valley is the thought that at some point in our kind of natural adaptation as people and as humans, we needed to be able to differentiate things that are us and things that are not us very, very easily. Almost like the kid here, noticing that the fingers were too long and that the mouth was too wide. Well, how does that make sense? Isn't there a variation of both of those traits in people? Yes, but at a certain point, the human mind just knows when something is wrong. So today's lesson, I think, is try and look at those around you, try and understand who they are and how you know who they are. Try and see how susceptible you are to these things. Maybe look into the uncanny valley. See if you would be able to tell the difference. Do you truly get that feeling of unease when you're too close to mannequins? Have you ever noticed that before in someone that just didn't look quite right? Definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you're excited for tomorrow's scary story, please make sure to drop a sub so that you don't miss out on any of my uploads, as I'll try to keep being consistent with them. I love you all. Thank you so much. This has been CC. Bye.